Welcome to the Center on Brain Injury Research and Training's podcast series entitled Lived Experiences with Traumatic Brain Injury. I'm your host, Melaney Grenz. Today, our amazing guests are from the Shaken Baby Alliance, a nonprofit organization based in Fort Worth, Texas. The Shaken Baby Alliance stands at the forefront of efforts to prevent infant abuse and provide crucial support to affected families. So join us as we explore the impactful work of the Shaken Baby Alliance, learn more about their initiatives, and gain insights into how they're making a difference in the lives of families and communities across Texas and beyond. Bonnie Armstrong, Executive Director, and Felicia Hernandez, Director of Prevention, Education, and Social Media at Shaken Baby Alliance. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here. All right, I'm going to start with Bonnie. So Bonnie, start at the beginning of your story. Tell us how the nonprofit agency Shaken Baby Alliance evolved.
Well, we started way back. It began on January 28th of 1994. My niece, Tiffany, was injured, and I was actually a kindergarten teacher. I was teaching kindergarten, and we're from Texas. We don't get a lot of snow, but we were pretending to have a snow day in our classroom that day. And all of a sudden, our secretary from the school came over the loudspeaker and said, "Miss Armstrong, you have an emergency call. You need to come to the office immediately." And I remember just kind of looking around my classroom at 22 5-year-old students and who were having fun in our fake snow and thinking, I can't leave these children alone. And about that time, she said, "Bonnie, run." And I knew it was serious because they never call you by your first name in elementary school. And so I took off running to the office. And as I ran to the office, the secretary was running to be with my students. And she just kept screaming at me, line two, line two, line two. And I thought, I got it. I went into the office and I punched line two and I said, "What did he do to her?" Because we had pretty good data that my brother-in-law could cause harm. He had been accused of beating his ex-wife into a coma, and he had caused injury to my sister when she was pregnant, and which he beat her, and she went into premature labor and delivered Tiffany weighing 2 pounds, 6 ounces.
Oh my.
So, we knew he was a violent person, and we were very worried about him having access to this baby. But the laws being what they were at that time, he had every legal right to, have Tiffany with him, much to our dismay. But my mom said, "We don't know what's happened to her. You need to get to your power of attorney papers," because I did retain medical power of attorney for her because he didn't want to make medical decisions for her. And so I said, okay. I ran home, got the papers, immediately raced to our children's medical center here in Fort Worth, Texas, which is Cook Children's Medical Center, an outstanding facility. And as I walked into the emergency room, I saw some of Tiffany's NICU nurses who had taken care of her as a premature baby standing there, and some of them were just sobbing. And that scared me because I had seen them lose children in the NICU in the 2 months she was there, and they never cried. And yet they were crying this day. And so I knew things were really, really bad. As I stood there, I realized I was standing by a radio that was attached to the plane that was flying Tiffany in, and they were running a code on Tiffany. She had stopped breathing and her heart had stopped, and they were resuscitating her. So finally, they got her resuscitated. They finally got her to the hospital. And as they brought her in, I remember just looking at her and just being shocked at how swollen her head was. She was just a little 4.5-pound baby. She looked like an alien. It was just, it was very bad. So they took her on up to the pediatric ICU, the PICU. And as they were taking her up there, she coded again. They were able to resuscitate her again. And finally, the doctor was able to get free and came over and sat me down and explained to me that this tiny little 4.5-pound baby had been shaken and beaten with a baseball bat. And it was the most horrific thing I could think of that could happen to a child. And he explained to me that there was virtually no hope that she could survive. Her brain was swelling so incredibly large and fast. And so he just told me to prepare for the worst. And I asked them, "Can I go see her? Can I talk to her?" And they said, "Well, she probably won't hear you." And I said, I just need to be near her. And so I went in, and I remember looking at her, and she was so tiny and that with that big head. And I leaned over and kissed her on her cheek, and I put my pinky finger into her hand, which, I don't know why I did that. Her hand was so tiny, and I just wanted to touch her. So I put my little pinky finger into her hand, and I kind of held her hand and wrapped it around my pinky. And I leaned down and I kissed her again, and I just whispered in her ear, Tiffany, I promise if you will fight and breathe, I will make something good come out of something so very evil. And I've never prayed as hard as what I prayed at that time. And just over the next 24, then 48 hours, she held on. And I remember 48 hours into it, they gave her a blood transfusion, which I was thinking they were going to bring this bag of blood in. And for a little premature baby like that, it was actually a little tube of blood. They gave her that last blood transfusion. And I remember going to this chapel that they have there on the premises, and at the hospital is a beautiful chapel. And I prayed again, and I just felt this peace come over me. And when I got back into the PICU, the doctor said, we don't know what's happened, but she's really turned around, and we think she may make it now. And so I just knew that I was meant to do something, and I didn't know how I was going to do it. But that's, I met two other moms, and we together formed the Shaken Baby Alliance. And that's what the Shaken Baby Alliance is my promise to Tiffany and their promise to their children. And we've kept it going now for 26 years.
What an amazing, amazing story. I just can't imagine a baby being beaten with a baseball bat. I can't even wrap my head around that. Oh, this tears me up. I know that it's difficult to state, and this may upset some of our listeners. I believe it's very important to address the alarming frequency of shaken baby syndrome. Can you please share the statistics with us, Bonnie?
We know that even though most people have never heard of shaken baby syndrome, it is the leading cause of child abuse death in children under 5 in the United States. You think about that. If a child is going to die when they're young, there's lots of reasons why they pass away. There's natural reasons, there's obviously accidental reasons, but when it comes to child abuse, it's the head that seems to take the brunt of the violence. And for children under 5, that's a lot of kids. And while we don't have an exact number, it is estimated that there's about 30 cases per 100,000 children in ages 1 year or younger. Tragically, that's about 1,100 infants per year. And we think one is too many. So we work hard. We're working hard to get that number down.
Absolutely. One is too many. Thank you for stating those stats, as alarming they might seem. Tell us your mission statement at Shaken Baby Alliance.
Well, our mission is very simple, and it has changed very little over the 26 years. The mission of the Shaken Baby Alliance is to provide support for victim families and professionals, prevention of child and elder abuse, and justice for the innocent victims.
Justice. Amazing. Justice. Absolutely.
My favorite word.
Yeah. Yes. How many families do you estimate you've helped in 2024 in Texas and around the country?
Well, in 2024, we have our statistics through June 30th. We've served 113 family members so far this year.
Felicia, I'm going to go to you next. Felicia Hernandez, Director of Prevention Education and Social Media. You have 3 programs at SBA, Shaken Baby Alliance. Can you speak to those for us, please?
I'm over our prevention education department, but our 2 other programs, which Bonnie oversees, is Victim Family Services, Professional Support, which is the training and case consultation. Within prevention education, we have our When Babies Cry, We Cope program, which is an evidence-informed curriculum designed to provide students, parents, community members, and professionals with the tools and resources to cope with a crying baby, which is the #1 trigger for shaken baby syndrome and other forms of child physical abuse, and also other life stressors. And so our main goal with our curriculum is to teach parents, students, community members, professionals our COPE strategy, which teaches emotional regulation. And the whole goal of that program is if you have the tools and resources to cope with those stressors in your life, then that can prevent you from using violence towards anybody. We want to protect babies to the elderly and everybody in between.
How do you spread your message out to the Fort Worth community? Are you doing virtual? trainings? Are you doing hybrid? Are you doing in person? Where am I?
Anywhere and everywhere. That's what we're trying to get into. So a lot of our work that we've been doing so far has been within the school districts. It's an amazing opportunity for us because it's a captive audience. In the state of Texas, specifically, students in child development classes, human growth and development classes, have to be taught on shaken baby syndrome. So it was a great opportunity for us to go in there, partner with the schools, and give that education to them, but also making it relevant and relatable to the students, which is where the crisis component came in. So it's like, even if you don't have a baby, even if you never plan on taking care of a baby, the COPE strategy is applicable to life because it's going to teach you those emotional regulation skills and prevent you from using violence towards anybody. We primarily are in the schools. We work a lot with other community agencies. Thanks to Toyota and the Way Forward Fund, we have been able to expand beyond Tarrant County, and now there's no limitations. So we can do virtual trainings anywhere in the world. So all they have to do is reach out to us and we can set that up. We have English and Spanish sessions available. Again, we serve students, parents, community members, and then of course for the professionals, we do have our train the trainer, which is more detailed information in terms of the medical aspects of shaken baby syndrome, which Bonnie goes over, and then I do the implementation piece. If they want to implement it in their school systems, in their community, then I do that portion of teaching you how to take our curriculum and make it work for the community that you're serving.
Thank you. On your website, you stated we provide support to families who are often left behind and not served by other programs. Tell me about some of those supports, Bonnie. What do those supports look like? And I remember some time ago, you talked about these goodie bags you had for some of your young mothers in this program. So can you speak to that, please?
I can. As far as our family support program, we really listen to what they say they need. Some families just need someone to listen. Some families need physical supports. They may need help with getting the equipment, specialized formula for their children with disabilities. And other families may need us to help connect them to community resources to get housing, food, the basics. So we just listen to what they need. And then we work with them from where they are. We also have a peer support program where I try to connect moms with moms, grandmas with grandmas, grandfathers with grandfathers, dads with dads, because what we have found and what my personal experience was, whenever someone could listen to me and they had actually been through what I'd been through, it was just that much more meaningful to me. And I really felt like they could hear what I was saying. So our peer support program connects people with someone who's been through that. Basically, they've walked the walk, so now they can help you down that path also.
So these support groups, are they virtual? Are they in person?
They are. It's not really a support group. It's one-on-one, and it's with that family. We have a lot of families who have then branched out and started support groups on Facebook and through different elements there. So that's kind of exciting that they did that. And they brought their own communities together. We might have helped them at the beginning, but then they get stronger and they're able to go and help other people. We think that's great. And then one of the things that Felicia does, and I know she can speak better to this than I can, but we do put goodie bags together for moms. And Felicia, would you like to talk about the self-care items that you include in there? Because I love to hear what she has to say. And I got to look through a goodie bag yesterday and I was like, wow, I want this.
Yeah, so a big component of our prevention education, especially when we're working with mothers specifically or parents in general, is we want them to understand that self-care is important. If you're not good, if you're not feeding into your own needs and taking care of you, how can you possibly give to this child? It's understandable why you're going to get frustrated and overwhelmed because you're pouring into your family, you're pouring into work, you're pouring into school. If you're still in school, you're pouring into your partner, you're pouring into all these people and nothing is being done for you. So you feel empty. And so one of the things that we do for everybody that takes our classes in person, we have goodie bags. And in those goodie bags are a whole bunch of self-care items that is something that they can take away after they leave. Not only did you receive this education, but now you have these resources where you can apply what you learned. These are going to be your coping strategies. So when you're feeling overwhelmed and frustrated with that crying baby or with life, You have a little tea. You can make yourself some hot tea and take that and help it relax your body. You have some little herbal lotions and then you smell it and it helps you relax. There's some bubbles, and that's more for teaching breathing exercises to relax. So if you tell somebody like practice breathing, they're like, what do you mean? How is breathing going to help me? Like I breathe every day. And so this makes it fun where it's like, take a deep breath in and then get ready to blow those bubbles out. And then you take a deep breath out. And so it's a fun way to teach them to practice to regulate their body. And there's just a whole bunch of other little goodies in there. We have a little notebook pad, a journal, so that they can practice writing down their emotions, because that is part of our COPE strategy, where you have to identify how you are feeling. You have to name the emotion in order to know what your needs are to cope with that emotion. So we give them a journal so they can practice releasing those emotions, because we don't want them to suppress their emotions or what they're feeling, because we know that you can only hold those emotions in for so long. They're going to come out, and oftentimes when they do reach the surface, it's in unhealthy ways that could potentially harm them or the people around them. Those goodie bags are just really a reminder, like, you matter too. We cannot care about the child if we don't care about the parent or the caregiver that's caring for that child. And I think that's a big message that we want to send, and why self-care is so important. Not only do we do goodie bags when we do community information events, when we do tablings, we'll typically have like a self-care basket that will enter people into a drawing to win. As long as they, talk to us, they're put into that drawing. So that's another thing that we've been able to do. And just recently we were at back to school event with over 1,000 families there. And the parent that won our self-care basket, she had a whole bunch of little kids and she was so happy. You should have seen her face, like pictures of her, but she was so appreciative and her kids were so happy for her. She was excited to be able to have that, because, you're at this back to school event, everything's for the kids. And it's like, well, what about the parent? They're stressed out about finances. They're stressed out about all these things that they have to do. So that was another way that we could give back. Like, not only did we give you education to prevent shaken baby syndrome and teach you how to cope, now you also have this, again, to remind you, take care of you.
Mm-hmm. I noticed a wonderful quote on your website. What we do matters. That is so true. And it rings so true every day with your clients. And we want our clients to be survivors that become thrivers. So thank you for that great work. Bonnie, I'm going to go to you next, please. If you could speak to the professional support program you have and the victim family support. And I think you've kind of grazed on top of that already, the victim family support.
One of the things that I would say to any listener that's out there that has a child who's been a victim or knows of a child who's been a victim of child physical abuse, please get in touch with us. Let us know how you're doing. And if you're doing great, then we need you to be one of our peer supporters. And if you're needing something, we want to be there. We want to help you. So for victim family support, it works both ways. You can always be a volunteer with us, or we can help you. So please get in touch with us. Our professional support program, it's grown a lot over the years. When we first started the Shaken Baby Alliance, we put up a website, and you think back to when there was no Google. Most of us don't remember life before Google, but there was life before Google. In fact, the search engine was Alta Vista for those of us who are a little bit older like me. But we put up this website, and our goal was to basically start an email list back in the day with 12 families. And so we had this little form that people could fill out. And one of the things we said, what area are you from? Are you a family member? Are you a police officer? Because we thought some of them might find us, an investigator. Are you a law enforcement agency? Are you an attorney, a prosecutor, a medical provider? So we had these little choices that they could pick, and it really shocked us. Our number one customer, if you will, was law enforcement. So we realized very quickly that we needed to be serving the professionals. The second highest was the prosecutors. And third highest was medical providers. And then finally, our victim family members. Decided that we really needed to serve those professionals. And being a teacher, I went to the library and started studying shaken baby syndrome, reading all the medical journals. I went to a medical school library, read all the medical journals, realized that there were 10 to 15 doctors that were writing most of those papers. So I looked them up, started talking with them. They knew really awesome investigators. We all got together, and from there, we built our professional program, which today we offer advanced forensic investigative training for crimes against the elderly, people with disabilities, and children. They're different programs because obviously, while the investigation is basically the same, usually these units are specialized, and one will work with the elderly and people with disabilities, and different unit works with child abuse. So we have child abuse programs, we have elder abuse programs. We also offer a case consultation service, and for our law enforcement partners, it is absolutely free. For our prosecutors and other attorneys, we have a very small sliding scale fee that we charge for that. But it's, and for some prosecutors that contact us, especially from rural agencies that have no budget, special help and things like that, well, then we do offer those services for free also. But what we do with there is we will take a case and do a full case analysis on it with a multidisciplinary group of people. It's volunteers that have worked on cases with us, or we worked on a case of theirs, and kind of to pay it forward, they come back and volunteer their time to be a member of the case consultation group. A case, we analyze the case from the investigation all the way through, and really just give that law enforcement agency or that prosecutor or that attorney ideas on what else needs to be done in this case, what other things can we think of that should have been done, what questions still need to be asked. So it's, once again, it's very individualized to that case, but we serve about 100 to 150 cases per year. So over the years, we've gotten, literally, we've helped on thousands of investigative and legal cases.
Amazing, amazing. And you do all of these things with a very small staff.
Yes,
Amazing.
we do.
Yes, you do.
We always say we are small but mighty.
Yes.
And we are, and we do count on our volunteers. We have a great group of, professional volunteers, family volunteers. We do count on them a lot for a lot of the things that we do. And once again, we're very thankful for Toyota and the Way Forward Fund, because they have really opened up possibilities that we didn't have before, and we're able to serve so many more people now than we ever have.
Amazing. Thank you. What are some future goals for Shaken Baby Alliance? What is on your calendar coming up?
Well, we have a lot of things actually, but one of the things that we would like to do is expand our staff. We are getting more requests than we've ever had before, and our small but mighty staff can only handle so much. So we are planning to expand our staff, not only in our forensic investigation, our professional programming, but in our COPE programming. We would love to hire a male. We feel like we could do more outreach if we had a male employee that could go out and reach those populations. We want our staff population to mirror the population that we're serving. And right now we're pretty short on males around our staff, so we're looking for that. We have conferences coming up that we're going to be participating in, lots of training that we're doing, advanced investigation training and our elder abuse training. And then Felicia is developing and expanding the COPE program. One of our goals over the next year for that is to have the COPE program where we can sell it to people across the world and let them experience this great program that we're seeing doing so many wonderful things. And we hope to offer that at a low cost so that it can be expanded across the world.
Great. So our listeners can access your agency at shakenbaby.org. They can also follow you on social media. Please make note, listeners, that you can donate via the website as well. So what we do matters. As your website so eloquently states, please help us protect the tiniest and most vulnerable among us. So Felicia Hernandez and Adriana Ray, bilingual prevention educator, will be presenting here in Eugene, Oregon at the National Association of Head Injury Administrators in September. So we look forward to having friends from SBA with us in September. Bonnie and Felicia, thank you and your team at the Shaken Baby Alliance for making such profound impact on countless lives across the country. I'm grateful that our paths have crossed. And on behalf of everyone here at the Center on Brain Injury Research and Training, we wish you and your organization all of the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you.